Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's January the 12th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and another really good trading day. If you caught this trade right here, you can make a whole lot of money on just a single trade. And this is about the third day in a row. I mean, I was done within an hour and 30 minutes tops trading, and um, and I'm talking about surpassing my daily goal as well. So I've had some really good trading days lately. Hopefully it'll continue like that. But anyway, I'm a little pressed for time tonight, so this one's going to be a little quick. It was mostly all shorts. We had a little bit of correction here after a break, but notice how we went a little higher before we finally worked to get our new low here. I believe we got a new low. Let me just verify that. No, we didn't. Still didn't quite get a new low, and it bounced again. So every time we get down here right around 2,000, it seems to bounce. Um, we'll see what continues to happen. But this was a heck of a sell-off here, and you really couldn't, unless you jumped in during this move down right here, you really couldn't get into this trade until this second entry short right here, just after the open, right at the open, a few minutes after maybe. And look at that thing go. If you held a runner right there, and you should have been looking for it to test these previous lows at the very least. When a when a when a market's moving up like that and suddenly it shoots down and goes right through the EMA and then makes a lower low than a couple of previous swings like this, we're heading down to test this most likely, and we're probably heading even lower than that. I would at the minimum look for a measured move like this right here, but we just surpassed that by. You can see that puts you right in here, and it tried to bounce right there, but you never even got a break higher than another bar there. So look at it, and it just keeps working down. And so this was a great setup. It's just that's a great, and there was resistance here from the previous day. You notice across here, so it broke a little higher, failed, and look at the bottom fall out of it, and then two legs up. So you got a new low. Pull back first entry, pull back a nice second entry short right there, and the bottom falls out of it. Again, you're looking for it to at least go here, but if you held any runners, it got all the way to here before you got a decent correction, but even then, that's not much of a correction. And I treated this. There's really notice the first. That's a new high there, and this is the first bar that breaks higher and it drops lower. And so there's a failed second entry long right there, but we had traveled too far. But when it shot back up near the EMA, and then you got this big bearish bar right here, when a move like that, it was worth the risk to go short there. And I treated that like a failed second entry long. Um, and I treated it's close enough. Notice it's one leg, even though this went lower, and it's like a two-legged pullback to the EMA in a real weak market. So I treated it like a second entry short. I treated it like a failed second entry on a larger pattern. A couple of different things there. And then notice that's a new swing high there. And then you pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it fails. So you got another chance to go short right there. I did circle that one in green because we've had a huge move down. But this thing is just weak. And so aggressive traders with that big bearish bar, they're probably going to let it break lower, drop a limit order in. And I actually took this trade, and that's what I did. And I got filled to the tick on that thing. If I'd had it one tick higher, I doubt I'd have got filled because it would have just touched it. And off it goes, and then it pulls back. And really, you could treat that almost from there like another failed second entry long. And again, it's a little aggressive, but this thing's weak. And that's another big bearish bar, so you may want to take that. I think it's a little risky, especially if you've caught any of the rest of this on the way down. Don't risk it. Wait for the better trades. Wait and see, and like you see here, you get a new low, pull back, first entry, pull back, and you get a second entry short right there. Nice, easy scalp. Why take the aggressive ones unless you're wanting to take them all? And then it wasn't quite so, and this one, I almost marked it green simply because we weren't back to the trend line. But you haven't been able to get back to the trend line at all. We came up a little short there, so you figure we might come up a little short here. It was easy scalp. Then it comes back. And there's actually another trick, little second entry short right there. and that one's off the trend line. So I really wanted to circle that one in green, but I forgot while I was thinking about it. Should have been red. And another easy scalp, and then it pulls back, and now you're making higher highs and higher lows, and so just sit tight and wait and see what happens. Don't take, you don't like here, you don't get a second entry short until way down here, and you got a trend line working up. So just be patient and see what happens. And notice that new low, and then that's like the double test rule. We tried to go lower 3 times. That's like a little double, triple bottom there. So I like that for a long. That's the first break of this little channel working back. You figure you'll get a new high. You were looking for a new short, but at the same time, when you get a trap like that, especially after a move down like that, you'll get a little more movement to the backside. This is like a little reversal pattern right here, and so I like it for at least a scalp. You may not get much more, but you can see it went a little higher. And then you get another little two-legged pull back, and it bounces right off the trend line. I actually contemplated making that one green, but we hadn't reached the upper side. We do have a break here, and this is the clue that we'll probably make a new high and reverse possibly. But I still like this one, and actually I probably should make that one green. Looking at it after the fact, when I was watching it, it looked pretty. I really wanted to mark it blue, but going back after the fact and looking at it, it's probably a little aggressive. So let's change it to green. And then we made the new high, but we're not really reversing in here. We're getting all this stuff. There is a failed second entry long there, but I think it was better to wait. And then when it tried to go up again, then you got a double top, and that's like a double test of that area. And so, and it went a little lower, so you got a lower low and a lower double top. So it's similar to a breakout pullback short. This is a little trading range here with all that overlap, and you don't know that it's going to shoot lower like that, but you've got your new high, so you're just looking for a reversal pattern, and you pretty much get it right there. So that's the reason I like that one to the short side. And then guess what? Pull back. Second entry short right there. Look at that big move. It looks similar to this. You get this huge sell-off. Pull back first entry, pull back second entry. That's the second. And there was actually a little trap right there, but, I think that one's a little too aggressive. You might mark that one in green. I'm going to go ahead and give that one a green one because there is a little bit of a trap. You may not have had that on your chart. My chart may look different. It broke higher and then turned and went out the low side. And it is a second entry. So, and then it pulls back. And this is a second entry on a bigger picture. Okay, slight interruption there. But yeah, I treated this like a one leg up, pull back second. On a bigger picture, that was a second entry short. And I thought I got trapped there for a minute, but it turns right back down, and you get a lower high right there. I actually had this trend line working like that, but I adjusted it a little bit later in the day. And anyway, you got the two legs back, and you got one more little push up and a turn down. That's a nice, you can't hardly see that. Let me make it a little bigger. You can see they're both nice bearish bars. The clue here that you might should have waited was this didn't break lower than that bar. There's a reason it couldn't go lower there. It took the next bar to go lower, and a lot of times when you do that with a bar that big, it'll pull back a little bit. So that was, a good reason to pull back. But when you got this next bar right there, look how bearish it is, and they're all coming off that trend line. Nice setup. I like that one. This one, again, really could be red or green. It's a little aggressive because it didn't break lower, so that's the reason I moved it to green. And there's a failed second entry long here, but you can't go short into that support right there. Look at all that support across there. There's a breakout pullback short there, but again, you got to go short below a doji. So I just don't like it. You're better off to wait. You'll get a second entry short or something soon, and finally you get pullback, first entry, pullback, and there's your second entry. Your first entry short was right there, then it corrected, and you get your second entry. And look at that move. So yeah, you don't. Once you've seen the big move like that, just be patient and wait on the next setup. And that's what separates your really good traders from even average traders is patience. and not watching the good moves and then getting it. Because what happens when you see a move like that, you get antsy and you just keep seeing it and keep seeing it, and finally you say, I'm gonna enter the next pullback, and that one still would have worked, but eventually you'd have got caught short in here, and you would have had to exit or take a big hit. And so that's generally what happens is people get antsy, and but you're looking, to look for a reversal right in here because you had your break. Those are your first two swings, and it's fitting right across the top perfectly. You get your break and you move, and that's usually and another good clue a lot of times that the move is over is a big overshoot. So like here's a clue that you were going to get a trend line break at some point because you got an overshoot right here, and usually it'll be on that same move, but it pulled down one more time and then you got the overshoot. And so you'll see that quite a bit, and I've been trying to show you that the last few days. I've noticed that more recently than sometimes in the past, but the price action has been very predictable lately. It's when it starts to get choppy and swinging both sides of the EMA right in here, that's a sure clue to be careful, that something's changing, because look, what a good healthy trend, everything stays below the EMA on the way down, and on the way up it generally stays above the EMA. And look how the EMA flattened out again there, and it chops around and you get the reversal pattern. Next thing you know, it's headed lower. So not a lot of trades today, but some very good trades, and most of your really good ones, runner here, um, huge runner here, no runner there, but most all of these had a runner as well. So a chance to make some really, really good money. But anyway, I'm not going to prolong this any longer. I need to wrap it up pretty quick and get out of here today. So hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. And I apologize for kind of having to push through it pretty quickly today, but I didn't have much choice. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.